As the sunlight fades into autumn gloom, the rustling of leaves in the cool, dim air gives proof of the coming season. Overhead, the insidious cackle of witches flying pierce the darkness. Horrid figures of silent phantoms stalk desolate paths and candle-lit hallways. And all manner of things, goblins, banshees, and vampires, hide amongst the growing shadows. Thus begins October. Blackwater Media presents Halloween Horrors. This is a bit of a complicated story. It goes across generations, and there are certain words that are not supposed to be used anymore, I guess. My grandmother bought a very old house that was in bad shape, but she transformed it into a beautiful and wonderful home over the years. And she owned the house for over 30 years, but it was haunted. Throughout the years, she let her children and grandchildren live there whenever they or we needed. There was one big bedroom in the back corner of the house that first was my aunt's bedroom and then my cousin's room. In between those times, it was a guest room that I often slept in. I had strange, bad experiences in that room that at the time, I wasn't sure if they were real or dreams. Now, I convinced myself that they were nightmares, but they felt very real. I dreamt about or saw a little person, specifically a little man. The man was very similar to a regular person with dwarfism, but still a little smaller, and his head was as wide as the rest of his body. He must have been about 2.5 feet tall. He would run around the room and laugh. He would run and slide under my bed, and he would also float. Now, in the jargon of that day, this thing looked like a little, evil, creepy fucking midget. He would float by the side of my bed, reach out for me, but not touch me, and laugh at me. He never said anything or did anything else, but it all felt very threatening, and of course, I was terrified. Now, like I said, in those days, we didn't call them little people. We used the term midget, but out of respect, I've learned to use the preferred term, little people. I had many other paranormal experiences as a child, but learned that no one believed me, so I stopped telling anyone about these things. And I never told anyone about this little creature until I was an adult. I was talking about that old house with my aunt who lived in that room as a child, and I asked her if she'd ever had any strange experiences. And she told me that there was a little man who would float by the side of her bed and laugh at her. And I thought to myself, holy shit. She also told me that he would act like he was going to sexually assault her, but then stop and just laugh at her. And I told her that I almost had the same experiences, and as we described him, we described the exact same entity. It was a horrifying realization that my nightmares about a little man were not nightmares like I convinced myself. It was just horrifying either way that we both experienced that frightening little man. A few years later, a younger cousin was living in that house and in the same bedroom. One night when I was visiting, it was time for her to go to bed, but she was refusing to go and crying. She said she didn't want to go to bed alone because she was afraid of the little man in the room who she thought was going to hurt her. Now, I asked her about the little man, and she told me he would run and slide under the bed and laugh, and then float beside her and pretend like he was going to grab her, but never did. She was terrified. I didn't tell her about my experiences or our aunt's experiences until many, many years later. It's interesting how sharing those experiences helped us feel better, helped us to know that he was real. We weren't crazy or making it up. That house was really really haunted by a horrible, miserable little goddamn creature. I learned that in the traditions of Mexico and the southwestern United States, there is a creature called El Duende. They're small elf or gnome type creatures that live inside the walls of homes. And what's more horrifying, they prefer the inside walls of children's bedrooms.